Plan Act, that is 152 A to I think L, that now there are issues of notice, that before eviction there will be a 90-day notice, that even if the court finds that these people are illegally on this land, there are rights that have accrued to them. There is the aspect of humane treatment to people who are being evicted, even from land that they do not own.
So this one you ought to have given that notice?
Yes, only that maybe I'm thinking that was before then. I'm not sure about it.
It was after the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lastly, who is an intersex person? And do they have rights under Article 45, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution?
Intersex person is a person, I think, the intersex as a gender have now been recognized in Kenya. This is a person who has both male and female, presents both male and female genitalia, and therefore cannot be grouped exclusively as female or male. Mm-hmm. So it comes to
only on a genitalia or other differentiation.
I think
yes,
could also be hormonal, that this person looked at wholly does not fall on either side.
Okay.
Yes.
So does such a person have a right under Article 45 too? That is the right to marry?
I don't see any reason why that person will be prohibited from marrying.
Explain your answer. Maybe you can make reference to what the Constitution speaks about. You have the Constitution there, 45(2).
Yes, I see that, Commissioner, that the Constitution gives the right to one to marry a person of the opposite sex. That seems to present a problem in that once we identify them as to be not of one of the two, then that will be an issue as to accessing, that right to marriage. But my thinking is that if we look at the Constitution holistically and say, these are human beings. Why would we, on the basis of the way they appear, because intersex is not even a matter of choice, why would we say that because this person was born this way, then just by that accident of birth, they are precluded from getting married? I think it's a discussion that I do not remember as now seated here, whether it's a matter that has engaged superior courts in terms of that right to marriage.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And I also must commend you for the work you do. Members of the Law Society in Mombasa are okay with how you manage your court and the stakeholders. I wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Yes, good morning again.
Good morning, my lady.
Please, if you are able to, in a nutshell, take us through the process of removal of a judge from the beginning to the end.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think removal of a judge and Article 68 starts with maybe a complaint that goes to the Judicial Service Commission. The Commission will look at that complaint and do an investigation. I think that investigation will involve the judge getting also to give his view, to respond to the complaint. Once that is done, then the commission looks at the complaint and the response, and on its finding makes a decision whether this is the kind of complaint that they should recommend to the president to form a tribunal. And once they pass that recommendation to the president, and the president will form a tribunal where the judge will be heard. And after hearing by the tribunal, then that tribunal will recommend whether the judge should be removed or not.
Is that the end of the process?
After that, if the recommendation is removal, then the judge is removed.
Does the judge have a right of appeal?
The judge has a right of appeal to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yes.
What standard of proof does the Supreme Court, did the Supreme Court say must be used in terms of removal of judges? What is the standard of proof to be applied?
It's a standard that is above balance of probabilities.
Okay.
I would call it intermediate.
Now, one interesting thing the Supreme Court has found is that the parties that come before the Supreme Court in an appeal of such nature will be the tribunal,
Yes.
and the Judicial Service Commission, but the complainant, the original complainant, is not a party. What do you think of that in terms of a complainant's rights or victim's rights? What do you think of that? Do you think that the complainant also ought to have a right to address the court at the appellant level?
My feeling is that it should, because that appeal, the appeal before the Supreme Court, if it's successful, it takes the matter back to where it started. I mean, the judge goes back to office, and at that point, although the complainant was heard, its complaint was processed all the way and was heard by the tribunal. But I think it will, in terms of just the victim, getting to hear the victim, in my view, it will be fair if the complainant gets an opportunity to hear and respond to what the appellant is telling the court at that level. I know the complainant, the appellant mostly will be appealing against findings of the tribunal, not mostly, not what the complainant said or did not say, but what the tribunal finally resolved. But I think in terms of just all-round justice and fairness, no prejudice will be suffered by hearing the complainant.
So in the same vein,
Yes.
would you also make the suggestion that even in criminal appeals, for example, the victims ought to be present, so that in a criminal trial,
Yes.
an accused person is convicted, then he appeals or she appeals,
Yes.
but the victim is not present, and therefore if that person is acquitted, the victim has absolutely no knowledge. Like, for example, in sexual offenses, you find that sometimes an accused person who is maybe even coming from the same village as the victim
Yes.
is acquitted, and the only way that the victim knows is to see somebody showing up in the village who they thought had been convicted at trial, and there is no information thereafter. In terms of victim rights, how do you think that should work?
I think it's something that can be explored, though your leadership. There's also the issue around efficiency. Without sacrificing, of course, the rights of the victim, you'll find that at the time this matter is at the appellate stage, whether it's the High Court, Court of Appeal, or the Supreme Court, there is the trial of facts at, if it was in the magistrate's court, where the victim participated fully, the victim was heard on all the facts, and then the opportunity to participate. So that, in as much as I will still say that I see no harm, especially if the victim can just be allowed to file their submissions or just address the court on what has been said around that time. I also see that aspect, that in terms of just the efficient administration of justice, the system could be clogged with those applications and appearances that when you look at it more, the complainant, the victim, and most of his or her interests or the aspects where she was interested or is interested addressed fully at the trial stage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, my lady. Good morning once again, Honorable Ithuku.
Morning, Commissioner.
Yes, I have your returns here from this. I don't know if you've seen a copy.
I have.
Yes, and you're happy with the report?
Generally.
Okay.
Yes.
So, according to the report, your court seems to be doing fairly well. I can see your case clearance rate is above the national average, which is commendable. At the same time, the court productivity is also above the national average, which is good. I'm looking at your own output, and it looks like you're not carrying your weight. As such, you are 1% shy of what was expected. You are expected to carry 7% out of the resolved cases. This is for the period between 1st July 2025 and 31st December 2025. Your output is 6%. I don't know if you want to make a comment on that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me comment. For the last 2 years, your Lordship and Commissioners have been handling the Shakahola case. Now, that case, almost every month, we take either a week or two because of the magnitude. In fact, as I'm seated here, on Monday, we are taking 2 weeks. We hope to close, having had just over 100 witnesses. Now, because of the nature of that case, we agreed with everyone involved, the defense, the prosecution, that we give it priority. So it has taken a bit of my time of what I would have had, because Commissioner, if you look at my records prior to that, I used to carry even more than my weight. But I would say that's one of the reasons, and it's a major one, because you see, even though that's a major case, you are hearing many witnesses taking so much time, it will not come to that record as matters finalized, because it's not yet finalized, but still taking a lot of my time. I also do a number of ESCC matters that also seem not at that Shakahola magnitude, but it also seem to take a bit of time. I'm also the head of station of Mombasa, but I work. I'm not giving those excuses.
Okay.
Yes.
We've heard you on that. I think that's why we are even having a discussion around here about case weighting, because these results are based on treating each case as if all the cases are the same. So we hear you when you talk about the scenario you have with Shakahola. So moving on to something else, I want to give you a scenario. You just want to test how judge ready you are.
Yes.
So you are appointed as a judge, posted to a station where you are the only High Court judge, and you do a case audit, as I expect you would do if you're successful, and then you find in your docket you have 2,000 P&A cases, succession cases, both contested and uncontested. You have 1,000 civil cases and about 200 murder trials. And so maybe you can just walk us through how the practical steps you will take to organize yourself so that you expedite the resolution of these cases.
Thank you, Commissioner. After the case audit, what of course will come out, as it usually does, is the length of time each of these cases has taken in our docket. And therefore, the first thing I will do, because many of those cases I expect now that a high court level will be represented, is hold a meeting, a stakeholder meeting with the bar, where we will agree that these matters that have taken time, we will prioritize them, and then we get them off the list as soon as possible. I know also, especially because you've mentioned P&A, and it's something we've dealt with, that what happens in many of these matters is that once people get grant, they tend to disappear. So you might find that there are many of those succession matters where the only thing you have is a grant. And these people have not come to court for 6 months, 3 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, that will have to take action in terms of giving notice, because as it happens now, we have a system that shows the addresses of everyone. It's now part of our registry manual operation that by the time we're filing a succession matter, can we have the address of either the administrator or... So we'll use that to give notice to those people, take dates, so that they come and we get to clear those matters, whether it's confirmation, whether there are objection proceedings that have been pending, and then that way we'll be able to handle the backlog and have now a docket that is clear. All matters have dates, all matters have been dealt with. There is a possibility that sometimes we issue these notices and parties don't come, or they cannot be found, or you realize actually the reason this administrator has not come all this time, he passed on. So when you have that information, then you can deal with what is in your docket, so that matters are not on the record looking as pending, when actually there's nothing pending.
Yes, actually that was going to be the next limb of my question, but before I go to the next limb, I wanted to also point out, as you go through your succession docket, remember I said contested and uncontested.
Yes.
Sometimes it's better to get rid of the ones that don't have issues, so that you quickly conclude them as you deal with the contested ones.
Yes.
But now, suppose someone doesn't come after you are right, you serve them with a notice. I think it's under section 74, 73 of the Succession Act, the Law of Succession Act. Yes. So they don't show up. Just as you said, because often that will happen. What do you do?
Now, they have not shown up. We don't know why. But they have left the grant unattended all this time. Mm-hmm. For me, I think now I'll fall back to Section 76 of the Law of Succession Act. Mm-hmm. That is a grant that has become inoperative. And what I'll do is revoke it.
Okay.
Yes.
Revoke and close the file.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and welcome again, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you.
Would you tell us how you have promoted diversity, equity, and inclusion in your court?
Commissioner, as I started when I was saying on diversity, we know that the parties who come to our courts are not all the same in terms of status. And I think this is where our blueprint start comes in. That it is our mandate to look at those people who are vulnerable and take care of them. You don't sit there just because there is a date given and expect everyone will come. In Mombasa, for instance, we have put in place wheelchairs. These wheelchairs, what they do is when people come who are disabled, we are able to move them around our courts. We've also done this last year. We realized, because there are many times you see in court nursing mothers who have business in court. So what we did as a court, together with stakeholders, the COC, is we put in place a nice place where mothers can sit with their children, babies, and nurse them, and also children who have come to court to testify. You see, there will be young ones where the court environment really is not the right place to keep them until their matter is reached, in as much as we want to give them priority when they come. So we shepherd them to that place so they can be there until we reach them. So I, as a leader, have taken those deliberate steps to ensure that everyone who comes to our court, we meet them at their point of need so that they will feel accommodated and they are included in our processes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very well. Now, you spoke passionately about integrity and an ideal judge that you want to become.
Yes.
But would you also tell us what you think your colleagues or even the stakeholders describe you?
Commissioner, it's usually a hard question because it's them. But this is what I think they say, because I've been in many places and usually people tell you what they think about you after you leave. So most of the time how I am described, and I think it's the nature of who I am, is that I am ample but effective. That when people come to me, especially in my position as head of station, they know that what needs to be done will be done. I may not shout about it, but I will push. I'll be firm, and I try to, bring everyone to see my point, so that at the end of the day, we will move together. I think that's how people will describe me.
Okay. Now, I will read a few of the feedbacks that they've given us during the, this is a participatory process.
Yes.
We engage the stakeholders and also the public. First of all, I commend you because they say you are a person of high integrity. Your integrity definitely is not in question. However, they have a few comments that maybe I would want to share with you, and then you give us your feedback, because some have observed that you appear indecisive in some of the decisions, as he focuses more on balancing both interests and ends up lacking clarity. It was also observed that he has failed to intervene in several complaints against Court 5, where there have been complaints against the temperament of the judicial officer who shouts at litigants and advocates in courts over very minor issues. There were also allegations that as a head of station, he tenders to favor ladies and treats them with special consideration. These are just nothing to be held against you. You just need to, they have a right to maybe hear.
I have no problem with the comments being made.
Yeah.
In fact, it's when the feedback comes in that sometimes they may help to build me and develop character. I'll start the first one. I do not know why one would say I don't make a decision, because especially as court, most of the time it has to go left or right. They usually, in the way we decide cases, there is no draw. I don't know, maybe sometimes people come to court with a very hard line of how they want their matter to go. So towards the end, when the decision comes out and realized, well, actually I have won, but not in the way I thought. Not as decisive, not the amount of cost and damages I thought I would get is not what I'll get, but I'm guided by the law and the facts that are before me. I cannot understand the complaint about Code 5. I will say here, because this is the commission, that our Court 5 is one of the most hardworking. I know who sits in Court 5. I have not, as I sit here, I do not have a complaint on my desk. And there may be those about files and things which come through the ombudsman. We respond to them, and as head of station, what I do is it's a complaint that comes through the OJO, and it involves a JO. I pass it to them, they give a response, we look at the file, and we respond. And I can also report seated here, that not just about Court 5, because I don't remember about it, the ones that have come, we've responded, and they've been closed. So that's what I can say about that. Now, the other one is simply untrue. I don't know what specifically they are talking about, because we share work. There are people who have responsibilities, and they take up their responsibilities. Yes.
You don't favor ladies and treat them with special consideration.
I don't remember anyone. No, I am a fair administrator. I'm a fair administrator. I give everyone what they deserve.
Thank you. I'm satisfied, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable CJ. Honorable Kimathi, I have a few questions for you. Nothing from what the public is saying, so you can relax a bit. I want to test your soft skills. Do you know, is there a difference between visionary leadership and transformative leadership?
Commissioner, I think visionary leadership and transformative leadership work together. In my view, there will be not much difference in that this leader who is transformative must have a vision. He knows where he's taking this organization, and therefore, as he changes the way of doing things to better, he's moving it to the vision that he wants everyone else to carry with. So my answer is that they move together.
They're intertwined.
Yes.
Okay. Would you describe a situation in your professional work where you can take credit for transformative or any transformation that happened? Just one.
Yes. Commissioner, as I said in my introductory remarks, one of the places where I feel I made the biggest impact was in the cooperative tribunal. What happened then, and even now, the cooperative movement is one of the biggest, I think, in terms of economic activities in this country. That time they were saying they were controlling around 200 billion. So the stakeholders, that is, whether you're talking about the leadership of the cooperatives, the members, and the regulatory authorities in the ministry, have a serious interest in what goes on there. So what I did, because it was looking like there was lagging or lack of confidence in what we were doing at the cooperative tribunal, and we are not addressing their needs, is that I organized meetings across the country where we will meet with the leadership of the cooperatives, we will meet with the regulators, whether it's that time they had started hiring the county directors in charge of cooperatives, and we will discuss those issues around the disputes that come to our cooperative tribunal. And in fact, by the time we were done, we had agreed that there were many disputes that were coming to us that actually the Cooperative Societies Act as dispute resolution mechanisms at the cooperative level that needed to be resolved there. If not, they go to the commissioner in charge of cooperatives before they come to us. And I would say, Commissioner and your leadership, that by the time we were leaving, we had a system that was very seamless, and the cooperative movement, whether we're talking about the membership, the leadership, and also the regulators, were very happy, and the confidence levels were very high in terms of what the tribunal was doing. So when I look back, I see my stint as chairman of the cooperative cooperative tribunal is one that was very transformative.
Okay. Finally, from me, a good leader inspires confidence in their team members.
Yes.
You've been the head of station in Mombasa.
Yes.
Would you tell us what you've done to inspire confidence in those that work under you?
Thank you, Commissioner. As I said, Mombasa is big and busy. So my role as head of station, most of the time will include me taking up quite a number of activities, whether we are doing dialogue day, organizing COC meetings and things like that. So what I have done, which I think inspires confidence in them, is that I keep identifying the strength of these members of staff or people in my team. And occasionally, whether it's my fellow judicial officers, I will nominate them to organize the Children's Month or the Dialogue Day. I will form a committee so that they will take ownership of the, organizing the activities. I will take responsibility so that from time to time they will report. I will get to know what is happening. But at the end of the day, they will take pride, because when this succeeds, and always does, it is them that we will commend. And one of the things I've done in many stations I've worked is, if I give a member of staff this kind of task and they pull it off successfully, I may not do much in terms of rewarding them, but I will do a letter of commendation, just telling them, we gave you this task, you accomplished it, we commend you. I will put it in their file. So I think that once you keep identifying people, and it has worked, because right now, because it's been 20 years, I know judicial officers who are now award-winning heads of station. And we started with them, they did things, and today they look maybe even better than some of the things I accomplished myself. And I think that I can say I have inspired them.
Okay. Thank you, Mheshimiwa, and I wish you very well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And that is Judge Mutuku. Am I getting the name right?
Kimathi Ithuku. Ithuku.
Ithuku.
Yes.
All right, fine. Good. Karibu.